So I feel honored to be here and speak in front of you about the initiative that we have undertaken, that is National Digital Library of India, which is one of the acclaimed projects that have been taken by Ministry of Human Resource and Development under National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology scheme. And it started back in 2015, and it has seen its first phase, and we are into the second phase of the project. And in these 3 years, we have learned a lots of things by interacting with mostly the library science community around India and around the world. So I don't feel that 25 odd minutes, in 25 odd minutes I'll be able to deliberate on all the aspects, on all the experiences that we have gone through. So basically in that respect, I like to talk about, or let us try to define what is NDLI. How do I define NDLI? Is it a framework for collating resources in a single place? Or is it a movement for combining or integrating different libraries around India? Or it's a edifice of technology stack that are required to build libraries for the future? So if we like to talk about all three aspects, it will be very overwhelming, and I don't think 25 minutes will be sufficient for that. So in that respect, I'll try to focus on the first two definitions, the framework and the platform, right? So at any point of time, you can ask me questions so that the session can be interactive more. So this is how we go about one library, all of India. So and with all of India, we mean all the digital resources of India, all kinds of people of India, starting from the learners from the very early stage to the learners, the self-learner who have retired persons, or in all the spectrum of learners, all the spectrum of language. And as we know that India is a multilingual country, so there are resources that are available in different formats, different languages. We like to integrate them in a single platform, and in that respect, we have gathered around 2.1 crore contents or resources from around 300 languages and from more than 200 sources, and we are having around 48 lakhs of user base who are continuously interacting with the NDLI platform and gaining benefit from the resources that are there hosted in NDLI. So the why part of it, why do we talk about NDL? Why should we have an infrastructure or platform like NDL? So if we look at the contents or the resources in educational setting, it has got three stages. One is development, the other is collate. The resources can be developed in different institutes in a distributed manner, but somehow you need to collate them to provide a unique or single view to the users, so that the user should not be going to different websites to learn about certain topic or concept. Now, we need to relate contents. So for example, someone is looking at a research paper that might be a very nice video lecture that is talking about certain aspect of the research paper. So if you can relate the resources. So let us see how we are placed nationally in these three stages of content. So we are doing great in development, courtesy different projects that have been undertaken nationally. NPTEL is a program that aims at creating educational resources mostly in the higher education domain. SIAM is a platform that is a platform for hosting different courses from different disciplines and different learning grade levels. Virtual Lab is again a very nice initiative to integrate laboratories in the virtual domain. And pedagogy is another kind of project that tries to spell out learning outcomes for different courses. So you are doing great in the development aspect, but what about collating? So we are not really up to the mark, because the student has to go through different portals to gather knowledge from different places, right? And relating, we are not really doing great. And there comes a requirement that we need to have a platform where we can integrate the resources in a national level, right? So that's where NDLI comes into picture. So the vision is to build up a National Digital Library of India as a national and knowledge asset, and it should be a key driving force for education, research, innovation, and knowledge economy of India. So that's what the vision of NDLI is. And to that respect, the concrete mission of NDLI is to create a 24/7 enabled integrated NDLI as a ubiquitous digital knowledge source for the nation, catering to immersive e-learning for all the learners at all levels in all areas, and we really do mean that. And we know that this is a very huge task to ponder upon, but really we have taken small steps to achieve this humongous task. And finally, to initiate a movement for integrated digital learning across India by collecting resources that are useful for different learner communities, different user communities. So the basic motto of NDLI can be summarized in 2 words: inclusive. We like to include learners from all the levels of different capabilities, of different abilities, and it is open in every sense, open in data, open in technology, and open in knowledge, every aspect. So I'd like to talk about the issues that are motivation behind this initiative, the architecture, and different use models. So the issues are really pertaining to the Indian subcontinent. Mostly we are having a wide geographic expanse of large population. The variation in language is great, and in many cases there is a severe lack of teachers if we talk about the population that we have to train, right? And with respect, in the provider side, we have got wealth of digital contents in form of books or articles, electronic thesis dissertation, question paper solutions from different institutes, video lectures from NPTEL or different kind of initiatives, simulation, animations, or different contents that have been developed by through NME ICT projects and likes. But at the other end, there is no single window search facility to gain access to all these wide category of resources. And traditional search engines, they can give you a view of the integration, but that is not really customizable. So if you think about the search engines like Google, Bing, you can search for the resources, but you cannot really filter down your search to meet your personal information request. And there are a wide variety of digital library technologies that different sources are taking into account, and we need to somehow come up with one interoperable platform which can seamlessly integrate all the different resources that are there lying around and give a single window access facility to the users and a very customizable view to the users. So right, we actually had a very nice session on the data sets, right? So as of now, yeah, so the data sets that are there around India, so there are many data sets. For example, there are data sets that are with government, there are data sets that the researchers are kind of creating. So and to provide a platform where the data sets can be deposited and they can be disseminated with similar vein as the content. So we are up to that objective. So as of now, we are not taking data as a different entity. It is as same as the resources that we have like video lectures and others, but we are trying to create a data vertical where we will be storing the data and disseminating data in, excuse me? So will be, so as we are taking an approach that the data is the resources are present in the respective sources. We are not really storing the data in NDLI, right, or the resources in NDLI physically. But those data will be distributed, stored in a distributed manner, and we will be linking those data from NDLI. So it's not like that data will be deposited directly in NDLI. So they will be deposited in the institutional digital repositories. We will be connecting the repositories from NDLI. But whatever data sets that we have around in India, we like to collect them together and give a single view to the users. So as far as the architecture, service architecture goes, so in the core we have got the digital repository having the authoring services and the acquisition services. Basically we create content and deposit content there. Now in the upper layer we have got the dissemination service, and that makes it a digital library, and there we can provide content access and content search facility. And on top of that we can add learning services, personalized services, localization services, and open models to share data. Then that becomes a national digital library. So on top of traditional digital library, you are adding services on the learning experiences, multifaceted interface, and different interfaces or APIs which can be consumed by different third-party developers to create different applications around National Digital Library. So as far as the use model goes, there are two kind of models. One is the content contribution, other is content access. So in the content contribution, there can be manual submission, or there can be content contributors who have already created some digital repositories, and we will like to harvest them and put that in our content repository. And the created content repository can be used by a course author to create courses through learning management systems. And these courses should be made available to the students who will be taking the courses and earning credits. And in a generic view, one can search and browse the repository in a traditional sense, and there will be APIs, there are kind of APIs which we are using to create different applications. So the stakeholders can be categorized into three buckets. One is the host institution, where the whole facility is hosted. Currently, IIT Kharagpur is playing the host institution role, and there might be different contributing institutions, mostly the institutions who are having institutional digital repositories and hosting contents at their end, and we are connecting NDL to those repositories. And finally, the participating institutions, where it can be any user from any institute. So the presentation model is, it is not a new library, it is a kind of umbrella over all the libraries that are scattered around India. We just collect and ingest the metadata, and mostly the full text, they are residing in the source. And we basically provide two views, on the search and the browse views. So as far as the objective goes, it is a we like to provide a 24/7 enabled infrastructure for NDLI for a single window search facility to include hardware system, network, software tools, and different applications. And we are continuously harvesting ideas from different institutes to enrich the library. There will be certain select institutes who can create digital resources and contribute the resources to us. For example, recently we have signed MOU with Gandhi Heritage Portal, who will be giving us all the resources that are relevant or that have been they have collected around Mahatma Gandhi, and we will be integrating that in NDLI. And finally, it should be one immersive e-learning platform, and it will be spanning across all the academic levels, all disciplines, and all languages. So as far as the content in NDLI goes, it can be a born digital content, it can be a digital surrogate of a physical object, for example, scanned version of a book, if that doesn't violate any copyright issue. And finally, a digital metadata of a physical object. And we really do not store the contents physically in NDLI. We just ingest the metadata and we use the metadata to provide access to the full text which is residing maybe in different institutes, right. So the range of content is really wide, and I'm not going through all the kind of contents that we are having. So maybe it can be categorized into 3 buckets, the contents that are relevant to institutes of school and higher education boards, institutional open contribution that are multimodal or multifaceted in nature, and the outcome of research and professional activities that are undertaken by different institutes, mostly the research publications and the data sets that are outcome of different research works. So the roles and responsibilities of the different stakeholders, I can talk about that in little bit. So government mostly they play a role of the sponsor or the facilitator of the project, but there are certain ministry who have got very wealthy contents which can be integrated in NDLI, and that can serve educational need of different users. The institutions, they can play the role of host institution or the contributing institution or a participating institution, as I have mentioned earlier. The public bodies like NGOs and the individuals, they can be user of the system and they can provide meaningful feedback, and in many cases they can provide us with valuable metadata through crowdsourcing. And the industry, they are really our technology partners. In many cases we are partnering with different industrial houses, and publishers, they mostly provide us with metadata of different resources, and in many cases we are going forward with national level license with different publishers that I like to talk about later. So mostly we are having around 2,000 plus organizations who are connected with us. The registration is open to all you got to have an email ID, and with that email ID you can register to the system and again get access to the materials that are there in NDLI. And apart from an institution or individual level registration, there is one institution level registration where one person from an institute can be designated as one institutional nodal person, will be working in behalf of all the users in that institute and registering them in their behalf. As far as the architecture goes, I am not going to talk about in a technical term. So mostly we are having 3 management system. One is index management, which really manages the metadata. Content management system, which manages the contents that are hosted locally. There are certain fraction of the contents that are hosted locally. And there is a learning management system that can provide meaningful learning context that are created around the resources. So the big picture is there are certain initiatives that are undertaken by government to create different kinds of contents that are relevant to either school boards or the higher education, and they are disseminated via different platforms. For example, SIAM is an initiative that is disseminated via internet. SIAM Prabha is a platform that where the contents are disseminated via DTH channels, TV channels. And we have got the facility currently implemented like credit transfer and virtual certification. So where the students can take courses from say SIAM or SIAM Prabha, and the credit that they earn, they can be transferred to their institute. So in that respect, National Academic Depository is working towards how to issue certificates digitally. So maybe I will be very brief about this. And what role National Digital Library plays in this context? National Digital Library is playing as the knowledge backbone of this entire initiative of this digital learning step in India. So in India, if we talk about NDLI in educational context, so there are many stakeholders, for example, teachers. So teachers can access learning materials, they can use the learning materials to do flipped mode of instruction in the classroom. They can use the resources to do assessment, the question paper, the solutions, the assignments, they are there in NDLI, they can be reused by the teachers. The researchers, they can be benefited by accessing the research publications, data sets, and tools and softwares that are linked to different research domains. The self-learners, they can be casual readers, or they can just do exploratory research of the NDLI. And then as an administrator, one can be a partner in our growth by integrating their institutional digital repositories with NDLI, or the administrator can act as an institutional nodal person to be a brand ambassador of NDLI for that particular institute. So if we talk about the access model and the content acquisition model, so there are different access modalities. So we have marked the access modalities to be open, limited, where a limited part of the resource is accessible to the users. Subscribe, the user will be able to access the material if he or she is subscribed for that resource. Authorized means the user has to have a credential for that particular repository to gain access to the resource, or NDLI supported access. That means the NDLI has got the national level license for a set of resources which can be accessed in full text mode by all the NDLI members only. So we talk about the ideas. So the ideas can be, the access is being controlled by the respective institute. So if the institute decides that, well, all the resources will be accessible, then it is open for all. Otherwise, the modality they are setting, access modality they are setting up there, that will be controlling the access of the resources to the user. So for the ideas, these are the kind of three modalities that are relevant. For the publishers, they can be open access, they can be subscribed, or they can be NDLI supported if the national level license for that particular resource has been procured by the government. That will be made accessible through, only to the NDLI users. And that initiative is being managed by Ishod Sindhu Consortium. And there are philanthropic contributions and the open educational resources. For them, these are the kind of access modalities that are relevant. And finally, to summarize, we are a participating institute, around 9,000 plus. The user base is, the registered number of users at 48 lakhs, and among them 20 lakhs are active users. The mobile app has gained quite an amount of popularity, and we have got around 12 lakhs download on that. And daily average hit is around 25Ks if we take on average of the website access and the mobile app access. And currently we are hosting around 200 lakh contents, and we have integrated around 200 sources, and among them there are 120 IDS services. So I think we should leave the floor open for questions so that I can, there are lots of other things to talk about, but I will cut short the presentation. So this registration for NDLI is open for all. So anyone can register. Anyone can register.
Anyone. And it is free of cost, no registration fee.
No, free of cost. It's free of cost.
And you told about Shodha Sindhu.
Right.
So ours engineering college coming under video consortium platform. So under UGC, it is showing Shodha Sindhu. Ours is coming under government aided. So once we go there, it is asking for registration fee.
So actually that is a kind of different system. So why Ishod Sindhu is relevant to NDLI is that, so there are different resources which have been thought to be of national importance. That means many of the users, Indians will be using that resource, right? So for that, the government has procured national level license, and that has been done through this Ishod Sindhu Consortium. Now the resources for which the national level license has been procured will be accessible through NDLI if the person is an NDLI registered user.
Yeah. License, you should get it.
License, the user has, does not need to worry about the license and anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And one more thing, sir. If the students has to register for SWAYAM, he should alone individually he can go or through
So
institutional.
actually this is different from SIAM. SIAM is a platform where there are different courses, maybe in higher education or maybe in school education, that are being hosted, right? So we as National Digital Library of India, we are integrating those resources here, right?
Yes.
Now you can use the credentials that you are using for this SIAM platform there itself, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And
yes.
you showed one more connection to from SWAYAM to MOOCs.
Right.
So that MOOCs also separate course is there, no?
Right. So actually SIAM is a platform where you can deliver different MOOC courses. So as a faculty you can run a course, a MOOC course under SIAM, or the students can participate in the SIAM courses that the MOOC courses that have been hosted under SIAM.
Thank you, sir.
So in the landing page you have got some quick access paths where you can directly go to the resources, you can search for the resources, you can browse the resources. Currently we are working on the data sets, but they are not there. So it's currently we are having video lectures, the assignments, quizzes, research papers, mostly we are having those. Textbooks are there. Higher education textbooks, actually we are in the second phase of the project. We are working for procuring national level licenses for different resources. So we are setting up a committee who will be guiding us through what are the kind of higher education resources that should be procured nationally, and as they are there we will be. So mostly we are using metadata standards borrowing from Dublin Core. Then Shodhganga metadata standard, and the other one is LRMI, Learning Resource Metadata Initiative.
Who are the librarians who are helping you?
So mostly we have, yeah, so there are many librarians. For example, he is the one, and Bablu Sutradhar, he is one of the librarians there, and Partho Sarathi Mukhopadhyay, Professor Uma Kanjilal. So there are many, Professor Dr. Jagdish Arora, so there are many.
All stakeholders slide that you showed, they were learners, they were administrators, there is no librarian.
So actually,
As a stakeholder, there is no librarian.
So actually this,
And this is the National Digital Library of India.
so this is, we assume that this is by the librarian. So this is by the librarian. So yeah, they are there always.
They have to be invisible.
No, they should not be invisible. So this,
It is invisible in your project.
I think I should make it explicit from now on. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure. So actually I can give you two instances of that. So for example, World eBook Library is a resource which has got around 40 lakhs books of from different domains, right? Now if you want to access those resources, individually you cannot gain access to the full text. Now for this resource, the national level license has been procured. Now as you are an NDLI member, so if you go through NDLI route, you can gain access to the full text. So that is what we meant by national level license that has been translated to the full text access from NDLI. And there are certain other instances, and we are looking forward to work for other.
One more thing is about the metadata, which he also mentioned.
Right.
Will there be any auditing from your side also
Auditing in the sense, ma'am?
for checking the metadata? You are harvesting from all the records.
Right. Actually, there is a very elaborate process of getting the raw data harvested from the institute and taking that to the live system. So we have got a 10-stage curation module that translates the raw harvested data into curated, quality checked, and translated version of the metadata in the NDLI platform. So there is a very elaborate process.
But will it be compatible with the institutional repositories metadata also?
So we are not tampering with the institution level metadata. So if we request some additional things to be changed or modified, So we are constantly talking with the respective institutes so that they can allow that. If they allows that, then we will go forward to changing the metadata. But we are mostly doing the metadata level translation, and curations are mostly syntactic in nature, and in many cases if we feel that the metadata field value is not going with the kind of quality, we talk to the institute to work on that.